Hi guys, I'm Meg. I'm one of the trainers on staff from the Humane Society of Western Montana. Thank you for joining us for yet another behavior spotlight. If you are looking for puppy class, as Tiff mentioned in her last puppy class last Wednesday, we will be shifting that class to Thursdays at 6 p.m. But that being said, the skill that we are going to work on today is also very applicable to puppies as well, and that is stay. So we're going to break it down into a couple easy steps for you and your dog. So if you want to join along at home, feel free to have your pup or your dog ready, have some kibble or some treats that your dog enjoys. You may also choose to have a leash for some distraction portions of the exercise. And of course, you need your dog. So stay is a really great skill. It can be extremely beneficial if you need to fish around in your bag for something and you don't want your dog to be flailing around at the end of the leash. If you need to pick up their poop, which is an unfortunate part of dog ownership, but sometimes when you're leaning over to pick up your dog's poop and they're flailing around on leash, it can make it really challenging. And also, if you're really interested in this digital age of taking nice photographs of your dog, stay is also an excellent skill for that as well. So let's get started. Just a few basic tips. If you are working with a tiny puppy, I am working with a 3-year-old dog today. She has had some exercise, so she's fairly tired. I recommend working with a tired dog. If your dog is really, really fresh, performing a static impulse control behavior like stay can be really challenging. So, and if you have a puppy, you may want to start a little bit easier as well. If you have a dog that is a little bit older, they're probably going to be better at beginning to learn stay just because they have less of that puppy energy and impulsivity. Also, we're going to break it down into 3 separate categories as we're teaching stay. A lot of times when people teach stay, they try to do too much at once, and then they end up frustrated, and the dog ends up frustrated because the dog is continually breaking from the stay. So I want to think about the 3 Ds, and maybe you've heard us talk about this in dog training before, but those 3 Ds are distance, duration, and distraction. And we're going to start with duration because if your dog can't stay still for even a short period of time, it's going to be really difficult when you begin adding in distance from your dog and things going on in the environment. So we're going to do them each as their own component to set your dog up for success. I also recommend using a static position to begin teaching stay. So as opposed to having your dog in a standing position where they're prone to inching forward or maybe choosing to go about their business, I recommend teaching your dog a sit or a down first. And I'm going to show you how to lure that behavior if your dog or puppy doesn't already know a sit or a down, because we're going to need those skills for the stay. This is also not recommended stay for door darting. So if your dog, when you open the front door, when you're trying to leave and go to work, is darting out, I don't recommend using stay or wait for that exercise if your dog isn't going to come with you. The reason being is we're going to use something called a release cue, like the word okay or free, that lets your dog know, okay, you're done staying now and you can carry about your business. Oftentimes, if you stay or wait as you're leaving your front door or leaving your dog behind, you can't institute that release cue and then your dog incidentally breaks from the stay, and that undoes your training, especially if you want to teach your dog to stay in a scenario where maybe you're popping into a shop to grab something or you're headed back inside to grab something and coming back out. So it makes it really difficult to begin teaching stay for your dog for when you go out of sight if you aren't consistently using the release cue. And we're going to talk about the release cue a little bit more, so don't worry. And I just want to ensure that you guys can see me. I've got a pretty big delay here. Okay, great. Excellent. All right. So we're going to start by luring our dog into a sit. And the good news about this is you really only need treats. You don't have to worry about a marker word. You can have treats in your pocket. I actually recommend doing this without treats in your hand. The reason being is if you're teaching your dog to stay with a biscuit directly in front of you, your dog is only going to learn to stay when you have a treat. And sometimes that's just not possible, especially if you're picking up their poop or if you're rooting around in your bag. So if your dog or puppy, this is Volta, she's my 3-year-old dog. She's already performing a down, but if your dog doesn't know a sit, you can use a food lure. And by that, I mean something that is manipulating your dog's body into the position that you want. So in this case, I have some of Volta's kibble in my treat pouch here. I'm just going to lure her into a stand, and I'm going to draw that kibble up directly in front of her nose until her butt hits the ground. And that gets her into a stay position. Now, that being said, if you're luring your dog into a sit and the sit is new for you, I recommend working on that separately, because if you feed the dog a treat and then ask them to stay, sometimes they think they're done and then they begin breaking from that stay. So I would work on stay or sit separately, before working on the stay. My dog already knows sit and down. So like I said, we're going to start very, very simple with duration. And we're going to start by doing this for only 1 to 2 seconds. And I know that seems like a very short window of time, but it's kind of like teaching a teenager to drive. You don't necessarily hand them the keys and then send them on the freeway. We want to make it as easy as possible, again, so that you and your dog don't get frustrated. So, Volta, sit. Now, you may choose to use a hand signal like this, which is fine, or you can just use a verbal cue. For Volta, her cue for stay is wait. And in fact, we haven't done a ton of work on wait or stay. So hopefully she makes me look pretty good today. So I'm going to start with just 2 seconds. Wait. Okay. And then I'm going to take a treat and toss it away from my dog after I have used that release cue. So if your dog has never heard the word okay or free before, they might not know what it means and that it's okay to break from the stay. And that treat can help reset them and help you encourage them to come back and try again. So I'm going to illustrate here with my dog Volta. If you have a dog or a puppy at home and you have their kibble ready, feel free to give this a shot. I should also say that if you have any questions throughout this demonstration, feel free to drop those in the chat and I will be checking them intermittently throughout. Wait. Okay. And toss a treat away from your dog. Again, it's going to seem really silly, but starting, especially if you have a tiny bouncy puppy and one moment they're running across the room or zooming and then chewing on something, you want to make it really easy at first. Sit, wait. Okay. And gradually build duration over time. Now, if your dog knows this cue and you just want to rebuild it a little bit, feel free to start maybe at 4 seconds or at 5 seconds. But I'm not adding any distance yet. I'm not telling my dog to wait or to stay and then walking across the room just yet. All I'm working on right now is just how long she can remain in that position. And then we're going to work on those other things like distance and duration separately. Wait. Okay. Great. She hopped up with her release cue. I'm going to practice it just a few more times. Wait. I guess you could count that as a break, right? She went into a down, but I like that she still stayed still. Now, if your dog breaks, even with the 2 seconds, that is okay. You don't have to say or anything like that. I would just make it easier for them the next time. So if you start with this exercise and you have a crazy, excitable, bouncy puppy and they're only able to hold it together for 1 second, then just start with 1 second. That's okay. We all have to start somewhere. So maybe if you have a bouncy puppy that looks like this, wait, okay, and toss that treat away. Wait. Okay. And again, we're just working on duration right now. So let's see how long Volta, she's not really good at this. Like I said, we haven't done a ton of work. Wait. And I'm counting in my head. Okay, and that was about 10 seconds. Now I recommend starting with just duration with your dog. So if you're practicing at home, build up to 10 seconds, to 20 seconds, to 30 seconds first. Like I said, if your dog can't stay for a long window of time when you're directly in front of them and nothing is happening, it's going to be really hard when you start moving away or when there are distractions in the environment. And let me just check and see if we have any questions. Oh, that is such a good point, Abigail. So great question. Would a hand gesture be essential for a release cue so when you leave the house, you can give the cue through the window? That's a really great option. I've actually never thought of that, but mostly because when I leave, my dog can't always necessarily see me. If you do have a door that has the window on the front and you want to use the stay or the wait cue, absolutely. So your release cue could potentially be a thumbs up, right? And that is the indicator to your dog, okay, it's fine to get up. So for my dog, what that might look like, let's say I wanted to begin teaching her, and this is great, like practice in your living room first. Don't practice this through the door because that's adding in a lot of distraction, right? You're opening the door, there's all those lovely smells and dogs walking by and squirrels. So start easy here in your living room. So maybe that could be wait, thumbs up, and then toss the treat away. Wait, thumbs up, and toss the treat away. You can even say it too, so that your dog can make the association. Sit. Wait. Okay. What a great option. I think that could be awesome. I should also say, if you want to use, or if you're concerned actually about your dog darting out the front door, I really strongly recommend something called boundary training. And I wish that the weather were good enough to show you boundary training because it is so invaluable. But it is not the season, unfortunately, to have your front door open for half an hour to illustrate. If you are interested in something called boundary training, so teaching your dog that just because there's an open door, that you don't want them to run out it unless released. There's a really great YouTube trainer called Kiko Pup, Kikopup. And if you type her name and boundary training into Google, a series of videos will come up. And I strongly recommend that too. I love boundary training. Awesome. So we've worked on duration. Now I want to talk about distance. And because distance is such a game changer, we're not going to do 10 seconds and 5 steps at the same time. We're just going to break it down and start adding in distance with a short duration. And I recommend this approach with many skills like this, just to make it easy. Like I said, you don't want to get frustrated. So if your dog is successfully staying for 30 seconds in place, and you want to work in moving away from your dog, I recommend starting just with a slight turn. Most dogs or puppies are not used to their person moving away from them. A lot of times we do a lot of our training like this, right? Which is where we're directly facing our dog, and the moment we turn our shoulder away, they might actually break. So I'm going to do this for just 1 second of a stay, but I'm just going to pivot my body. If my dog remains in place, okay, and toss a treat. If my dog breaks, let's say I just turn my shoulders a little bit and they stand up from the stay, I might even just shift my weight to start. So I'm going to illustrate with Volta. Wait. Okay, and toss my treat away. So the same thing, wait. Okay. So just like the 1 second for duration, we're just starting with that body pivot. If you have a bouncy, excitable puppy, that might be all you're able to do right now, and that is okay. Great job for being here doing this work with your dog. Wait. Okay, and that time I even took an extra step, right? And over time, I can begin building this up more and more with my dog. Okay. We're looking for extra kibbles. Sit. Wait. Okay. And actually, I don't know if you saw her, but when I said the cue and turned that time, she did a little jolt. She didn't break, But it just goes to show that dogs are so used to moving with us, especially if they're attached, especially if they're a puppy, which are totally predisposed to follow their people and other dogs everywhere. It can be really challenging. And she's already performing it down, but just to reiterate, it does help to have your dog in a static position, whether asking for a sit or a down first. But because she's already doing it for me, I'm not asking for it. Wait. Okay. So that time it was 3 steps. And I might not want to just make it harder every time. I might want to mix it up and do 1 step next time and then 4 steps the next. Wait. Okay. Then I'll do an easier one. Then I'll randomize it. Wait. Okay. Or if you are doing this through the window, right, and that's how you're going to do it, also pair it with that thumbs up. Let's do 1 more. Sit. Close enough. Wait. Okay. Good girl. Awesome. And so on and so forth. And I should iterate. If you aren't really concerned about teaching a stay for a distance behavior, like if you're not going to be walking 10 steps away and taking a picture, but you are more worried about your dog staying put next to you when you're picking up poop, don't worry too much about distance. Really, a lot of skills, you should practice them, many versions in your home, the way that you intend to use them. You really want it to be practical for you. While it is really impressive that maybe I can teach my dog to stay while I throw kibble at her face and wag a toy around, if that's not something you're concerned about, or you're not, you don't want to show it off at parties, don't worry about it. But do practice really small versions of the way you're going to use it. And we're going to talk about that next with distraction. And I'm just going to check and see if we have any other questions. We're okay for now, but if you do, feel free to drop those in the chat. All right. So distraction. Another thing to think about when you begin adding in distractions, right? We're lowering duration and we're lowering our distance, trying to make it easy on our dogs. I recommend practicing the way that you're going to do it. So if you do intend to take pictures of your dog with your cell phone, start adding in distraction by rifling around in your pocket. Or if you want your dog to stay in the living room while you chat with the UPS man, begin saying things that aren't your release cue before that time comes. And these are great skills to work on when it's really snowy and nasty in Missoula. So I hope you guys are staying warm and keeping your dog's brain busy. Hold on. So distraction. Let's say, for instance, I wanted my dog, like I said, to stay put while I'm chatting with the UPS man. That may be as simple as turning away from my dog slightly and saying a word that isn't my release cue and seeing if my dog breaks. I honestly don't know how this is going to go because I haven't done this with Volta, but if she breaks, I'm just going to lower my criteria. And by that, I mean make it just slightly easier for her and set her up for success. So I'm going to tell Volta, wait, potato, okay, right, and so on and so forth. I could say maybe a whole sentence, Volta. Wait. Wow, it's really snowing out there. Okay. Right. So if that's something, having your dog wait in the living room while you're chatting with the UPS man, that's how you want to start. If, for instance, you wanted to, like I said, take photos of your dog, the first thing would be to just reach into your pocket, and if your dog doesn't break, release and reward them. The reason why it could be really challenging actually to add in the distraction of reaching into your pocket is because sometimes that's where you keep treats, especially if you don't have a treat pouch. So sometimes even just reaching for your pouch, your pocket can be the great first step. So for my dog, that might be like if I'm taking pictures of my dog, I'm probably going to be oriented towards her. I'm not going to add in the distance component yet, right? Which is taking the 10 steps back before reaching into my pocket. We're doing these separately. Wait. Okay. she actually, it's funny, her eyes looked to my hand in my pocket kind of like, oh, should I get up? What is she going to get for me? So that just goes to show how important it is to separate out these different parts of the skill. Wait. Okay. At that time, I was able to get my phone all the way out, right? If I want to take a cute photo of Volta for Instagram. Wait. Okay. Awesome. Good girl. You're gonna do one more round? And another thing would be to, so let's say you're gonna use this for your dog to stay put while you pick up their poop. When your body moves and you change position, for many dogs, right, look at her tail. This is really inviting. So you want to begin adding in those different movements of your body as well. That counts as distraction. We may think it's normal, but for your dog, especially if they're excitable or a puppy, you need to start small. Wait. Okay. And that time I just did even a tiny little squat. I wonder what would happen if I wanted to sit. Wait. Okay. And that time I reach towards the ground. Sit. Wait. Okay. Awesome. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to drop those in the chat. Wait. Okay. And so on and so forth, right? You can gradually make all of these things harder over time. As your dog becomes proficient at these three things separately. So once they're able to do it for a longer period, when there's nothing happening, when you can do it at a distance, if that matters to you, it may not. And if you can do it with mild distractions, then you can begin incrementally adding both together. So for your dog, that might be, adding one step across the room or one step away, distance, and also reaching, and so on and so forth. So your dog may not be there yet, which is okay. Wait. Right, 1 or 2 steps away and a reach. Okay. Because maybe her poop is all the way over there. She just, because I pointed, hold back. Looking for kids. Wait. Okay. And so on and so forth. Excellent. Well, these are just some very basic starting skills. And I kind of want to show you what it looks like if you really want to pull this out as a party trick. I love stay mostly for its impulse control. So a lot of dogs, when they see something, they just want to go get it. And this can really help build your dog's self-control when those distractions are happening in the environment. So it can be great, especially if you have a bouncy adolescent dog or a puppy. And it also can be valuable for all the reasons I've already listed. So for instance, I might tell my dog, wait. Toss a handful of kibble on the floor. Okay. And release her to go get it. So I just threw a handful of her kibble. You can do this with her toys, right? You can use toys as a reward. So for instance, I have my dog's very nasty but quite beloved dirty dinosaur. I'm going to let her finish snuffling for all of the kibs that I threw. Can you tell she's a lab? Are you ready? Good girl. Okay. Sit. Nope. Wait. Right, and I could use a toy, right, and make it exciting for her. She's still thinking about the kibble on the floor. Okay, get it. Ah. Right, and teach her that just because she sees something that she wants, or help her to learn, that when she sees something she wants, she can't necessarily just go for it. So stay can be really great for teaching that impulse control to your young dog as well. Excellent. I'm just going to check and see if we have any last questions. We're going to keep it short and sweet today, and we don't appear to have any. That being said, I'm going to put up some contact information in the event that you do have questions either related to stay or really any behavior topic. So let me bring up that end card. And hopefully you can see that. So if you have questions about stay or any other behavior at myhswm.org. We are a privately funded nonprofit organization. So any penny that you can donate goes towards the continuation of these programs and the care of our shelter pets. We also have a free behavior helpline. So if you have really genuinely any behavior concern or you want advice on something, behaviorally speaking, you can contact us anytime at that email. We're happy to answer your questions and provide you guidance. We are continually offering behavior spotlights and puppy classes for the foreseeable future. Probably into March, when the weather starts warming up, we're probably going to want to do some more community work outside. If you've missed any of our live streams, some of them are uploaded to our YouTube channel on the URL listed there, but also you can scroll back through our Facebook live videos for topics like coming when called, nipping and biting, jumping up, things like that. I'm sure a lot of the topics that we've covered should be able to help you. If you do have a puppy, Tiff is going to do a really useful puppy class tomorrow evening on nail trimming. I'm sure there will be a ton of helpful tips for adult dogs as well. So check in on that, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your evening and stay warm out there.